everybody. Thank you for coming to my presentation today. This presentation is on orthorexia risk, health professionals and health profession students versus the general public. A little bit of background. Orthorexia nervosa is the pathological obsession with nutrition that can lead to extreme restriction, nutritional deficiencies, and avoidance of foods and beverages, leading to medical complications and a poor quality of life. Orthorexia nervosa is not yet formally recognized as a psychiatric disorder, as other specific eating disorders are, but the pathology and distinct behavior patterns are recognized by clinicians and health professionals all around the world. There is growing concern that individuals who are pursuing nutrition and health for one's career may be at an elevated risk for developing orthorexia nervosa. So what makes ON different than other EDs? The term orthorexia nervosa was first used by Bratman and Knight in 1997, and they identified individuals exhibiting behaviors of obsessing over proper nutrient and caloric intake to achieve optimal health, rather than because of body image issues as seen in commonly diagnosed EDs and other disordered eating patterns. Right? The fixation on healthy food intake leads people with orthorexia to obsess over comparing ingredients in foods and avoiding all perceived harmful foods or chemicals that may be in those food products and beverages that people normally consume. So the objectives of this review was to look at the specific question: are health professionals or health profession students at a higher risk of developing orthorexia nervosa when compared to the general population? This review looked at primary research focusing on orthorexia prevalence and risk levels in health professionals and health profession students specifically, as well as primary research on the prevalence and risk levels in the general public to evaluate the potential for both and the prevalence and increased risk due to increased exposure to nutrition education in health professionals and health profession students. So, for this study design, a search for primary studies was conducted in ScienceDirect, Springer, PubMed, Scopus, Google Scholar, and the UNE library using the search terms adults, health professionals, and health profession students, general public, orthorexia, or not orthorexia. The inclusion criteria included being the age of 18 or over, orthorexic risk, at least 10 participants completing the study, a dropout rate of less than 20%, and then preferred study date range was 2013 to 2019, but some studies were accepted between the ranges of 2004 and 2012 with the proper review and relevance for this review. The exclusion criteria included pre-existing conditions that could cause the misdiagnosis of orthorexia, studies with less than 10 participants, and being under the age of 18. 25 studies screened met all of the eligibility criteria and were used for this review, 15 looking at health professionals and health profession students, and 10 looking at the general public. The analysis of the review showed that there's a higher risk of developing ON when somebody is a health profession or health profession student when compared to the general population. Of the health professionals and health profession student papers reviewed, we can see a consistent high-risk trend showing up specifically when they're looking at dietitians, nurses, medical students, and medical doctors. While there's a multitude of factors that can contribute to orthorexia nervosa, higher levels of nutrition education seem to be correlated with the risk of developing ON. The results of the review showed that with over 5,000 health professionals and health profession students studied and over 6,000 people from the general population studied, that health professionals were at risk of developing orthorexia 56% of the time. That compared to the general public, which was at risk only 31% of the time, shows that health professionals and health profession students were at a 1.8 times greater risk, so almost 2 times greater risk of developing orthorexia when compared to the general public. These, all of the numbers were put into a 2-sample t-test with a critical value of 1.7 and a p-value of 0.02, showing statistical significance. When we look at the conclusions from the paper, the systematic review highlights the consistently higher risk that health professionals and health profession students are at versus the general public when it comes to developing ON. The data supports a statistically significantly higher risk of developing or having orthorexia for those health professionals and health profession students when compared to the general public, and more research is needed to get a validated and verified diagnostic criteria in the DSM for orthorexia nervosa. Overall, all of these papers really showed that there is a risk both in the health profession and general public side, but there is a lot of diagnostic criteria that separates ON from other eating disorders, and this also needs to be looked into further. I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.